All right, you want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And for some reason, I didn't know why the screen wasn't already pulled up, but I'm here. It is Saturday, and it's time for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee here. And tonight's show, it probably be a little bit of hit and miss, only because of the title. Now, the title I will explain in a little bit here, but we do have to get to the business end of things here. And one thing was also pre-recorded here. I also noticed that we didn't get any. I should have asked if we got an email, but I don't think we did. But nevertheless, here, Stupid O'Clock still happens 1 hour into the show. If we go into a second hour, that is followed up by Last Man Standing. And then you get a little bit of a respite until Monday when you have Nevermind the Furthermore with Nicholas Tockert here. And don't forget about Comic Book Spectrum. We still having another one here, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And yes, as stated before, we're probably going to end up talking about 321 Contact and some other good related stuff on the show here. But for old time's sake here, only because we had to take those books to storage earlier this morning, or I should say this afternoon here, we got a pre-recorded new comic books pickups for the week, and here we go. Be a recording because we have to take these books to storage, and I'm about to be on my way that direction here. So what came this week here, we got another copy of Catwoman 17, Avengers 216, 242, another copy of 263, and we also got an Adventures Comics 420 here, which is a Supergirl issue here. And then we got an X-Men 152 and another copy of Wonder Woman 196. And finally, I have completed my Silver Sable and the Wild Packs run with issue number 34. So this was the last one that I've been looking for. So now I have a complete run of Silver Sable. We got G.I. Joe number 13, 17, 18. So we're getting closer to having the beginnings of the first part of G.I. Joe here, at least for the Marvel run. Another copy of Spider-Woman 49, and another Gen 13 25. That is the pre-recorded portion of new comic book pickups for the week here. That does not necessarily mean that there's any more that have came after I recorded this. So back to the studio. And there you have it. That's pretty much it here, because I don't think we got any mail today that was comic book related. So That was new comic book pickups for the week here. And that brings us to accountability here. You guys have to be on top of me here because I haven't really worked too much on comics per se, as far as Primetime Saturday Night number 6 or Amazonia number 8 per se. I have been working on, the other adult book, Legends of the Giantess Slayer. I have been working a little bit on that. I need to get back to a lot of different things as a whole here, as far as scripting is concerned here. One of the reasons being that I have been kind of behind is because I've been dealing with other stuff behind the scenes, dealing with some other business related items and whatnot here. And, some of you may know that, with some of the business dealings here, dealing with companies like CGC and some of the other grading companies comes into play, and that has been monopolizing some of my time and resources, to be quite honest with you here. But outside of that, it's been pretty okay. I just need to buckle down and focus here, because like I said, I can't set my laurels on having 2 issues for Legends of the Giantess Slayer ready and then have to re-release Primetime Saturday Night number 5 without the errors, and then getting Primetime Saturday Night number 6 done and Amazonia 8 done, and hopefully focus back on the actual AWF number 5 that I know some people are still waiting for here. But it's a lot of stuff here, a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of juggling and everything. But some of the financial aspects here has been hurting from time to time here. But nevertheless, it is what it is. We're going to get past that. We still got about half a year to go before we start worrying about C2E2 payments and all this other stuff. Well, actually, we need to worry about C2E2 payments now, because I think it's like September that is like a cutoff date for X, Y, and Z for, like, the first payments and everything. So all that stuff is slowly coming into play, and financial factors and all this other stuff here is concerned here. So without further ado, hopefully I do see people out there watching, so that's a good sign here. We're going to go into tonight's topic about be careful what you say, because it just might happen. And what do you mean by it? It's like, I know how people are. It's like, well, what do you mean by that, Joe? And I'm going based upon a lot of stuff that I've been seeing on other YouTubers, videos, and just stuff that I've been experiencing late being in the industry here. One of the things that I just got through watching with Swaggle and he was talking about speculators and influencers, and talking about how a certain comic book that really isn't a key has hit the took the number 1 spot as the most speculated book for the week. And surprisingly enough, that I believe that book was like Dazzler number 3, the Doctor Doom cover. And he was scratching his head as like, why is this book on take the number 1 slot? Why? And then when you look at it, you have people who are out here doing investments. We have people out here, telling people it's like, this is a book to get because of AKA Dr. Doom's going to be in the MCU, and speculating on all this different stuff. And people are getting influenced to think that this one book that typically has gone from being in dollar bins to now to like $5 boxes or $5 bins and stuff like that, or on a shelf for like $6. They're speculating it up to make people, pay more money, and it's kind of hurt the whole hobby as a whole here. And we got comments now. So we got, yep, you mean Dazzler 3? Yep. I don't get it, but I saw it on Swaggle House, and I was like, you know what? He has a point. We, as people who are out here on YouTube that deals with the comic book industry, we got to be more careful about how we say certain things here, because it's almost like what I said before in the episode where I said, either be a creator or an influencer. You can't be both. If you're so, if I can say, if your primary goal is to influence other people, then do it, and then do it giving the reasons why. In most cases, Dazzler 3, there is no reason for that book to be speculated on. Yeah, Doom is on the cover. You know, we got past the speculation of who's going to be Dazzler in the movies and all this other stuff. And people are just really going out the way to try to make this book more than what it is. I feel the same way about Amazing Spider-Man 300. With the amount of Amazing Spider-Man 300s that are out there, whether it be graded or raw, that book should not be as expensive as it is here. Now, granted, there's a lot of Spider-Man fans out there. I get that. I'm not knocking Spider-Man fans, but I am cautioning them that because if you're FOMO, that book have, you know, maybe skyrocket to like triple or quadruple the cost because of your FOMO. The same thing is about to get ready to happen with Dazzler 3. And that should not be happening here. And we got the Parallax Spectre clan here. So we got Parallax and Beanie and Lils and Fran and everybody else that's there. Yeah, it's Spectre because it's cheap. It's not super common. It has Doom on the cover. They are so stupid. There are so many covers that have Dr. Doom on there. It's like, why not pick the Fantastic Four book? Matter of fact, because they're going to have the Avengers face them first, why not pick a book that has the Avengers up in it? Why Dazzler? That doesn't make any sense. It just mind-boggling. But the reason why I say be careful what you say is because we got a lot of people who are out here, quote, in the hobby, that are doing a lot of speculation. Now, granted, from time to time, I speculate on books here. And I do, and when I speculate, it's not because, oh, this is something that's going to be in a movie or anything to that magnitude. It's not normally something that is historic about the book or a little bit known about the book that I speculate on. And if you pay close attention to it, I still stand by at least 2 of the books that I speculated on. And that's only because I have insider information about certain other things about those books here. But those 2 books that I, speculated on, the fact of the matter is the story still stands as is. Then on top of that, there are actual other artists that has done renditions from that book. So it's kind of like a key thing here to me, but it's not one of those things like a Dazzler 3 for things that may not happen in the MCU here. Yeah, it was an Instagram drip. Yeah, I mean, people fell for it, and what happened? Key Collector put it out there. All these different speculation sites put it out there. It, like I said, we got to be careful about what we say in this day and age of the internet. You got to. Even if it was a joke, it can come right back around and bite us in the ass here. Yeah, Dazzler 20. Oh my God, Taylor Swift. Yeah. That never happened. Or what was it? I'm trying to think of it. Was it Uncanny X-Men? I want to say Uncanny X-Men 130. The Uncanny X-Men cover. Taylor Swift is going to be Dazzler. Now everybody's going to go look for the first appearance. Yeah, that's because that's the thing. It's not a joke. It's assholes like Count and Tom pushing a book that has 0 value. But that's the thing about the topic of the conversation here. Comic Tom is a influencer more so than a collector because he has so much influence. He tries to drive books up to make what shouldn't have been a valuable book more valuable. But that's kind of like what's going on in this day and age. I could name a lot of books in the modern era of comics that should not be as expensive as what they are today. I already mentioned ASM 300, Ultimate Fallout 4. You know, Something Killing the Children 1, Invincible #1. There's so many different copies and printings of it out there that the book should not be as valuable as it is. However, because of people inflating and talking about and influencing other people to get these books for investment purposes, when track record has not shown the test of time that the value is going to stay stable, especially for modern books like Invincible #1. Yeah, it finally hit 4 figures, but the thing about it, once it hits 4 figures, it's like, well, where's the fandom? It's like, the main series has gone, so that means that it's about to get ready to plateau. So either plateau or drop until there's another resurgence of popularity for it. I don't see Battle Beast keeping that price at that steady level at all. And then, kind of like if they did like what they did with The Walking Dead, if they did deluxe edition, it still may not keep the original series up there like it's supposed to. Yeah, I had it for years. Yep. Because I like Dazzler. That's true. It's like I stand by my Jubilee as a dollar store Dazzler. Even that book, first Jubilee, I feel that should not be getting the same value that it's getting right now. But again, this is coming back from the aspect of people who are being influenced in what is a good investment in comics and what is not. And I have to fall back on that. It's like I love Dazzler, and I would have loved a nice Dazzler 1 slab, but the prices are stupid. Or you could be like me and try to collect all these different issues of Dazzler and then slowly but surely start grading the ones that's close enough where it's somewhere between like a 9.2 and a 9.8. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm not falling for the must have this, that, and the other right now. Yeah, Dazzler 1 shouldn't be over $15 in high grade. Again, Dazzler 1 should be about $15 to $20 in high grade. About $15 to $20 because it's had been out there long enough, but there's no demand for it. Just like, let's see, I could put, talk about all these different titles that really doesn't have demand, but because of investment and because of influencers on investing in comics, it gets muddied and we get higher prices, just like you said, like you pointed out. It shouldn't be over $15, but that's what sounds about right about now. Yeah, the book is done and the show will end at one point. Yeah, it's not like the Turtles. There's still a show, there's still movies, that is still being games created for it. Even with Turtles, if it's not the original Eastman Laird stuff, no, they should not be skyrocketing. The original Eastman Laird stuff, yes, those are hard to come by. Now we have to, really implore the actual problems of, if I could say it in these terms, actual volume or circulation of the original series from Eastman and Laird. print runs. Now we get into the whole print run thing because the original series of turtles are now getting scarce as far as their original print run is concerned. So those books, yes. The Archie books, somewhat. The IDW stuff, no, they're too new. Those books still have several more years, maybe decades to circulate before we worry about shortages. Jubilee is a Timu Dazzler. y'all being funny here. Y'all being hilarious here. I mean, some of the things that I look at here is like seeing people do like Spider-Woman Volume 1, issue number 1 for over $100. It's like, no, that's like a $40 book all day, every day. But because of speculation, it's a $90 book, high grade. Now, if you do the Marvel Spotlight one, yes, that might be a $150 book all day because that's truly first appearance. But the number 1, that's maybe a $40 book all day, any day. But people are getting $90 to $100 for it. Things like, Savage She-Hulk number 1 has been dipping because, because people who got influenced by the TV show being out, by the lack of presence anywhere else here, people not liking the TV show, the hype for She-Hulk went up and then it comes back crashing down, and now we're seeing that 9.8 for a Savage She-Hulk number 1 going from anywhere between $500 to $900 back down to where it's supposed to be, somewhere maybe about like $150 to $200. But again, everybody's up there. It's like, but there's a lot of She-Hulk fans out there. Yeah, but the books are not as valuable only because there's so many of them still out there. It's still a common book. It's not scarce as of yet. It hasn't reached that pinnacle where there's, scarcely any of them out there. And, I wish people would trust me on this, especially as a Wonder Woman fan. People don't realize how hard it is to get issues of Wonder Woman from issue 1 to maybe like 150. They're scarce. And those who do have them, don't give them up. And if they do give them up, the prices are absurd. I mean, literally absurd. For example, one of the ones that I saw just recently, I believe it was a Wonder Woman issue. I believe it was like in the 90s or like 92 or 94. People are asking. Now I've had to put quotes around asking for $250, $300 for it. Is that the actual price of the book itself? No. But because those books are so few, a lot of those people are holding on to those books, and not a lot of people are getting FOMO to grab them either. So it stays in one person's hands for a long period of time because there's just not people that can afford that type of stuff. It's people pricing other people out of the hobby. And that's kind of like one of the things that I kind of was getting at with the way that people who approach investing in comics. I kind of wish that they understand, invest in what you love and don't worry about the monetary value of it right away. Worry about how your budget sits when you buy these books, especially if you're buying modern books. Because sometimes I sit back and I look at new books that come out and you try to get a number 1. If it's not already on your pull list and you're just now discovering it on the day that it comes out, on like a new comic book, Wednesday here. If you're not there at that store on that Wednesday and you come on that Thursday, don't be surprised to, that you get that bait and switch. It's like, oh, we ran out of the basic, A cover for number one. Now, if you really want that number one, you got to pay the $40 for the 1 in 10, or $100 for the 1 in 25, or $150 for the 1 in 50. And lo and behold, here comes the $300 for the 1 in 100, because you missed that time frame to either have it pulled for you, or they just did not order enough cover A's to satisfy that. And that is a major problem, especially if you got good quality YouTube content up here talking about, oh, this book is going to be good. This is something that might be in your wheelhouse. That if you like horror, get this title. If you really like, romance, get that title. And they really hype it up. And that's one of the reasons why, you have to be careful, because as a YouTuber, you have influence. You have greater influence than what you think that you have here. Let me get back to some of the comments here. It's like, yeah, black and white, 20 pages, 20 pages, color, page 15. Yep. In near mint. Yep. Exactly. I have multiple copies of Spider-Woman 1. Yep. And still annoyed that. See, that's going to be enough. I'm going to eventually have to break down and do that as a episode, and I might end up getting canceled because of that. Because if I really delve into TNA and comics, I'm going to really kind of be like really kind of jumping down people. I shouldn't say people's, but some collectors' throats on that. Not to say that TNA books are a bad thing, but it's something, as far as me being a creator, that really gets my craw about it. It's just like, when I ask other artists about that, or other creators about it, they look at me crazy. But it is what it is here. And yes, we are, we all have, Savage She-Hulk number 1. Yep. Yep, and she just giving us data now. It's like, yeah, like Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman 1. Yeah. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have at least Absolute Wonder Woman on my pull list. Absolute Batman, no. But look at what people are going through just to get an Absolute Batman 1 at even its 5th printing or 6th printing. That doesn't make any sense to me. A 6th printing of a book would be like, regular cover price. To get like a 1st printing, if you have a 6th print, yeah, that first printing goes up. The 2nd printing, not so much. The 3rd printing, even less. But now, because of speculative processes here, it amazes me that 6th or 7th print could outdo price wise for value than that 1st. And it just doesn't make set well with me here. Well, that to me might become a Tubby Nugget situation here. It'd be like, hello, friend. Don't overstress about it. Save your money. Bye-bye. Yeah. Again, they missed the Joe rant on Comic Book Spectrum. I'll talk about that a little bit later here when we finish with this one here. I know that because George's first appearance was I mean, the super rare mega limited edition 6th printing. A book that goes to a 6th printing just goes to show you that they purposely underprinted that book. A 6th, let me put it in better perspective. And I want people to hear me completely out here. The super rare limited 6th printing is exactly that when you come to like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1. Why? Because back then those print runs were really, 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 really small for the smaller companies. So you have to think about when Eastman and Laird first came out, that first printing of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles maybe be no more than maybe like 5,000, somewhere between 4 to 5,000 copies. That's not a lot of copies compared to back then. Back in the day, Marvel and DC was doing well over 250,000 copies per title for some of their titles. 5,000 is like a drop in the bucket. It became popular, so they might do a second run of it at maybe another 4,000 or 5,000. A third one maybe at 3,000. A fourth one maybe at another 5,000 or so. A fifth one at maybe like another 2,000 or 3,000. A sixth one that might be maybe like 1,500, just to try to keep up with the demand of people asking for that number one, as opposed to an absolute Batman number one, where they're coming out the gates with, let's say maybe like 6 different variant copies, but yet they purposely underprint the A cover just to get people to buy the 1 in 10, the 1 in 25, the 1 in 100s, and maybe a 1 per store. It's not the ultra rare. It's not ultra rare. It's just more along the line. They divvy up that overall print run, and this is what I want people to understand about the ratio variance and how these companies are getting over on you with the ratio variance, and that it's like, oh, they're rare. It's like they're not really rare. They're cutting into the overall print run. Let me break it down to you this way. Absolute Batman number one, that first go around, they probably did maybe 50 to 60,000. And in that 50 and 60,000, you have to take in consideration that they have to do a breakdown for each one of those ratio variants. So for a store to get a 1 in 10, the store has to order 10 just to get one of them. 1 in 25, same way, and 1 in 50, same way. 1 in 100, 1 per store. 1 per store, they probably print like 300 or 400 of them, easy. But that's still part of that main print run that they're sending to their printers. So out of that 50,000, now you have to subtract 500 for the 1 per store, maybe another 2,000 or 3,000 for the 1 in 100s, maybe another 2,000 to 3,000 for the 1 in 50s, another 4,000 for somewhere between 3,000 to 4,000 for the 1 in 25s, and another good 4,000 to 5,000 from that 50 or 60,000 plus run, which means that now your cover A, cover B, cover C, the normal covers that you might have, and that's if they have multiple covers in addition to those ratios, those other covers cut into that, how many cover A's that they might have. So if you got 3 other covers and they do them evenly, out of maybe like the 30,000 that is left. So now you are up here looking at 1,500 copies of each one of those regular covers in that print run. So now if you go to a comic book store and say, hey, I want Absolute Batman, that store is really sharing maybe 1,500 copies of that cover A, 1,500 covers of cover B, 1,500 covers of cover C, D, and then they have all these different ratio variants that is of different variations because of the way that they break down that print run. Now, my numbers might be a little bit off based upon what I stated for the ratio numbers here, but you have to think about it. The full total run of all covers is like, maybe about 60,000 here. So you want to know why you can't get that cover A? It's because of all the breakdown for all the covers that they cover in that one run. It's not like they have a run of 60,000 copies of that cover A. 60,000 of cover B. They don't do that because now you're up here looking at a possible total print run of close to over, a 500,000 copies. And books don't sell 500,000 copies in this day and age here. Let's go back at least 20 years where Marvel was putting things on the chopping block if it wasn't selling 25,000 units per month. In today's climate, it might be even less than that, maybe somewhere about 20,000 units a month. So how do you get past, this whole low sales thing? You come up with the ratio variant, which means that now you have shrunken down your regular standard A cover printing by having these higher price ratio variants in the long run, which is never a good thing as a whole, as far as new people coming into the hobby. But for those who've been here for years that are following the artwork and everything, it might be a saving grace here, which again, you get price gouge out of. But that's just me. That's just the way that I look at it here. I got Absolute Wonder Woman for $20 at Motor City. Ouch. Ouch. For that $20 that you paid for Absolute Wonder Woman #1, I believe I got all of the normal covers that was not ratios for $20, because I actually had it. I actually had it on my pull list, and they pulled those covers for me. And by the time you have like $5.99, $5.99, $5.99, $5.99 plus whatever discount that you get, it's like a little bit over $20, maybe $20 to $25. But you only bought one, where I ended up getting like 4. So that hurts. I'm not saying that it wasn't a bad deal, but it proves my point about the actual print runs and the way people should look at it. Because technically, you should not be paying $20 right here and right now for that Absolute Wonder Woman 1. Too soon for that. Yep, false scarcity. Yeah, back when Secret Wars 1 was printed, it was 230 copies. Yep, like the dumbasses that paid bank for the 1 in 2000 Return of Wolverine book. Yeah. Marvel's council point is around 12,500 a month. Yeah, I mean, it's in this modern age, it's not good as far as units per month now. And it's sad because not because people don't read, it's just more along the lines digital and comic books don't go very well, even though there's a lot of people that do read their comics digitally, which is perfectly fine. But you still got a lot of old schoolers like myself that would rather have the book in hand and read it that way. And then on top of that, we also have to look at the subject matter. There's a reason why manga outdo American comics, because there's so much, a plethora of subjects that is being covered in a nice fashion than it is in American comics. I mean, when's the last time have you seen a good American comics that covers cooking? Or something of the magnitude of the average day of a worm? They got mangas for that. We don't have the equivalent for American comics here. And then with the last couple of generations growing up with having better access to manga and anime, it's kind of like one of those things like, oh, boo manga. It's like, no, you want kids reading manga, and now you just have to find a way to get the kids to come back over to American comics and talk about the things and get them and have them to love those characters or create brand new characters that they like. It's nothing wrong with that. But the thing about it is, when the model for comic book sales are going to train down the way that it is, only for the simple fact that the comic genre now is now being treated nothing more than source material for movies and television, there's a problem. It's not being presented in a way that it was presented to us, which is storytelling. This is an ongoing story. These adventures are ongoing, and we're getting newer and newer talent coming in, telling more and more stories about the characters that we love here. But what's been happening over like the last 50 years is that we go so far, we reboot everything. We go so far and we reboot everything. Why? Because the newer group that's coming in don't want to take over and take over and start from where the last team left off. We go so far, we have to reboot everything. And what does that do? It turns the old readers off. It turns the new readers off. And it causes a downturn in people going to the comic book store to look for that next new thing here. Yeah, the comic needs to go back to good newsprint paper and sell some more ad space. Ad space is pretty much what needs to happen. And I wouldn't say sell ad space per se, but if they did start selling ad space, they need to do it in such a way that it benefits those that buy the ad space here. Because the reason why I'm going to say it that way, the average kid does not buy bubble gum anymore. Bubble gum is too expensive. It's not like something that you could go to the corner store and put down like 30 cents and get you like a double bubble or something to that magnitude, or pay like 50 cents to get some Bubblicious, a 6-pack of Bubblicious or something to that magnitude. Those days are gone and over with here. And then on top of that, a lot of these publishing companies want to use the space inside the books to advertise other books that are not selling. That to them is like, that's more marketable for us. No, that's not the best source of action here. I must have happy to get one for the PC. Oh yeah, I can sell you. Yeah, I know. The very first copy of Absolute Wonder Woman that I got here, I actually paid the going rate at, what was it, the San Diego Comic-Con one, the foil one, before I was able to get the other regular A covers and stuff here. But yeah, that was one of those things here. I get it, Yeah, you're like fishing. Yeah, here's, there's a 17 volume manga about fishing. Exactly. Yep. And also stop all of this where it's like 18 concurrent events with 283 parts. Well, that part I want to talk about in a different fashion here, because the epic events, they do need to happen, but they need to be their own standalone stories. They do not need to go back into the other titles here. I need that drink of water real quick, because to prove your point, when I think about Crisis on Infinite Earth really didn't weave itself through all the other DC books. Yeah, there were bits and pieces that were talked about in other books, but the main story was in the main Crisis on Infinite Earth title. Secret Wars, the first one. The first Secret Wars. All self-contained in the Secret Wars title. Contest of Champions, which is technically the first event that crossed, that had all the Marvel characters crossed over with one another, was all self-contained in 3 issues. We get to Secret Wars 2, and what happened? It spilled over to other titles because they want to sell other titles. All of these major events should be self-contained in their own titles here. One of the worst things that, I'm still scratching my head now after going to storage and cataloging everything and seeing what I have and everything. Civil War One. I have all that. And then they had Frontline, and then they had all these other crossover books for Civil War, World War Hulk, stuff that's primarily centered in with Hulk, and then all these other breakout books that dealt with World War Hulk. They need to be self-contained as like a one-off series to make it palatable for the older readers as well as newer readers who want to come in. Having these, like you said, the 283 parts kills the events and how they're running things here. That's not going to work for this for this day and age of reader here for comics. It's not. It's just not. Keep it simple. There's a reason why there's a such thing as a one shot or a limited series. It's to tell those self-contained stories. Go back to doing that. Just like how I advocate for, like, one of the things, and I love the character a lot. I love the character a lot, but I understand what Joe Benitez is doing, but also at the same time, dude, why? You got a following now. Just make Lady Mechanica an ongoing series. Every Lady Mechanica book does not have to be its own separate miniseries. You can make it an ongoing series and just keep it going that way. And you can still have the same thing. You could tell certain stories within 3 to 4 to 5 issues itself, and it still flows and everything. But it gets rather difficult to know. It's like, well, do I have the full series? Because now I have to track it down by, well, I only have like 2 issues of this particular story run, and maybe the full run of that one, and maybe the full run of this one, but I'm missing like 3 issues over here for that particular story. It makes it hard. It's like, yeah, the original Amazon attack where everybody, where everyone was like, it makes no sense because I'm not going to take a look at the ongoing series. The series is 6 issue and tie-ins, and the tie-ins was the main story. Like I said, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue against that. It should have been all self-contained. And it's weird because you picked a very good one to say that. That was an excellent one to bring up. To get the crux of the story about why all the tribes was coming out to attack the rest of the world, you have to read all these other books on the outskirts of Amazon's attack to understand the premise of the main story that was in the 6 issues here. It's poor storytelling. It's poor storytelling at its finest. But it almost getting me off the track as far as where I was going with the line of thought, as far as being careful of what you're saying on the interwebs here, because even with bringing out the negative points of this type of stuff here, we also have to look at the positives. And the positives is we're out here doing, some of us are out here doing these type of shows just to bring out a conversation, to actually have dialogue, to say, hey, something's wrong here, but I'm not going to be like, everybody should hate it. I'm not telling people to hate Amazon's attack. I'm just saying, this is the problem with it. This is why there's so much of a disjunction. This is why, a lot of readers don't enjoy these events here. I'm not even saying don't do events, but if you're going to do events, do it all in one self-contained miniseries. Don't spread it out to multiple books. Don't wrap what's going in on other titles into the story. Make it all self-contained. It's easy. Very easy to do. Very, very, very easy to do. But like I said, we are in a day and age now where Marketing does most of the editing. We don't have editors anymore. Well, I shouldn't say we don't have editors. There's really editors that are hired at these companies, but we don't have like the old school editors that will sit there and be like, this won't make sense story wise, or this won't get us the readership that we need. We need to package this thing up correctly. Be damn what marketing is telling us here. We got to put together a good story for marketing to then promote. It's not the other way around. You have to make the product first for marketing to do their job. Nowadays, it's the opposite. Marketing is telling us, hey, this is what our focus group is saying that what they want. Let's do that. And you're going and scratching your head as a creator. It's like, we don't have a product like that. Why are we creating it in the first place? Well, you have people over here doing something similar to that. Why can't they just adapt it and make some tweaks and create a brand new series like this? Doesn't work that way. You have to be able to tell a good story from it. And, to be quite honest here, maybe that's the reason why I feel that a lot of the indie stuff is so muddied. We got some people who got great ideas and telling great stories. And then we got other people that is telling what I consider adjacent stories to what already exists. And the adjacent stories are not what people are really clamoring for, but it's somewhere in the ballpark, and it's probably easier for them for some people to digest, but it's not going to be the next big greatest thing here, sadly to say. And it's really sad because you have to, really buckle down and really develop and build your fan base around what you're building, I shouldn't say what you're building or what you're creating, but build a fan base around the lore of what you're telling. But if you're telling something that is, let's say it's like I'm creating like a sci-fi epic that's similar to Aliens. People are going to be like, I'm expecting Aliens, and not really get into your lore all that much because your lore is too much like that other property. And the only reason I could say that here is because I tried to help somebody out by doing exactly that. But the problem that they ran into, and a problem that I kept harping on and trying to get them to change, is that if people are saying that your stuff is too much like this, then what makes yours different? Start writing in such a way to make yours different and stand out. If people are looking at it and calling it this, then most likely it is exactly that, the other thing, and you just doing fan fiction. You don't want to do fan fiction. You want to create something that can stand on its own, has its own lore, look at things and be something that truly stands out and be wonderful in that aspect here. But again, we will be out here, talking about how what we're creating is the next greatest thing out here on the interwebs. Going back to the topic about be careful what you're saying, it just may happen. And you say it's the next thing. It's going to be just as big as it's going to be just as big as the current popular IP that is out there. And you keep hyping it up and hyping it up and hyping it up, and then you put it out there. People start reading it, and they're going to go, "Oh, it's essentially just that plus a little twist of the story." That's not what you want. You want people to love what you're doing for what it is, not because it's adjacent to something else here. But all of that goes back to the whole thing here. We got to be careful about what we say out here on the interwebs, especially us YouTubers here. We can't be out here overly influencing others on their purchases based upon monetary value like we have been. And again, Parallax, as much as Parallax does not like Comic Tom, I get why Comic Tom does what he does. Comic Tom makes money doing exactly that. I don't. I make my money, either from my 9 to 5 job or doing the comic books that people like. No more, no less. Am I having a hard time selling them because I don't have a regular physical distribution? Yeah. But again, we have a website. We have all the other things where we can sell our books. We go to shows. We do our due diligence. We try to build our fan base out there. We have our mailing list. We have all of this stuff that in place here. My ultimate plan is still going to happen. And like I said, not a lot of people who are in my shoes could actually say that we have multiple issues in 3, about to be 4 different titles. You'd be surprised of how many people are stuck on issue 1 or issue 2. I'm up here struggling to get an issue 8, an issue 6, an issue 5, and an issue 3 out. That's not an easy task. And being a one-man army for most of it is definitely not easy here. No, it's not about wilding Comic Tom. It's just more about understanding that people have more influence than what they believe that they have. That one person that may come across that one, Facebook Live post, or that one story that you did on Instagram, or the channel that you run on YouTube. There's people out there watching it. They're paying attention, and they actually looking at what you're saying. And it may strike a nerve with them to be like, you know what? That person's right. I might actually go out and get me Strawberry Shortcake #1 because of the actual value of it. And yes, Strawberry Shortcake #1 may have some value to it, but it's not as valuable as some of like the Golden Age and Silver Age stuff that is out there. And yes, Strawberry Shortcake #1 may be somewhat rare because of the small print run up on the Star Comics. But don't let it get overinflated. And that's what happens here. It's like we overinflating the actual value of some of the things. This is the reason why I was when Swaggle House picked up on Dazzler #3 and was like, he doesn't believe it. It's like, yeah, I don't believe, but I can see why. I understand why, but I just don't believe it as well. Yeah, but you get my point here. But you get my point. A lot of the old Star Comics, they're now short print here. And I know my sister at one time had like things like Muppet Babies #1, Care Bears #1, Planet Terry 1, Heathcliff 1. She had those books at one time. Are they around now? No. No. But it was kind of like one of those things that it's like, back then we didn't think much of it. Just like how people back in like the 1940s and 50s, if they had a Tom and Jerry 1, they probably didn't think too much of it. Now, if they had it now, they had, a nice little book that if they kept it up, probably a nice little book that could run them almost 4 digits. But that's the whole thing. We shouldn't be always guided by the monetary value of it. It should be guided more so by, do I really like it? Do I really love what's being done up in it and everything to that magnitude? That's what makes me kind of like wonder, because like how I go to like all these different claim shows and all these different comic book sales, and I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. And you get to the point where comic seller starts looking at what you like. and they get to the point where it's like, oh yeah, we want you on our, we want you to come to our sale, but you don't have anything that I want. And it's like, you kind of know what your clientele wants, but sometimes you ignore bits and pieces of your clientele. So why would I come out there to watch? Now, if you're a good person, you're an entertaining person, we have dialogue and everything. Perfect example, Flames of the Phoenix this past Friday. Even though, he had all the new books from Wednesday available and everything to that magnitude, do you guys want to know what was the key thing that was talked about on that Friday's episode where they did their claim sale? I bet you guys could never guess the topic of the evening, and it was a very fun evening on top of that too. And Parallax said, "I need Muppet Babies, Care Bears, Heathcliff, and Ewoks, and the Framey Dudes." Yep. I bet you guys would never guess here. It's like, let's see, Randy, I don't know what you got. I don't know what you guys collect. Also, Randy, hey Joe, I got those 2 short boxes of kitchen sink books. Yeah, exactly. Hey, I remember. It's like Randy would be like, hey, I remember that you picked up this one kitchen sink book that was adjacent to the Spirit. Now I got 2 short boxes of other stuff that's also adjacent to the Spirit. Are you interested in them? That's Randy. That's how Randy operates. But yet he doesn't know what you're into. I was like, sometimes I up here, it's like, I want to scream, BS, but no, seriously, it's hard to keep track. But he does keep track of what you actually purchase, and if there's something akin or adjacent to it, or if you say it's like, hey, I'm in the hunt for this, he pays attention enough that if he comes across, it's like, hey, I finally pulled that issue for you. Not a lot of sellers would do that here. But getting back to what I was saying about Flames of the Phoenix, if you don't know who Flames of the Phoenix are, that's a store owned by Michael Curl and Paula Glass here. And on this past Friday's episode, the main topic was not about the main topic was not about the comics that was up there on the shelves and everything and stuff that he was selling. We were talking about movies of the 80s that Paula has not seen either in the theaters, on video, or DVD, or streaming. It was like, we were going like, how have you not seen some of these movies? I mean, simple classic movies. Like, she has not seen like the movie Christine, or have not seen the movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy. I mean, we were just going down the line. License to Drive, she has not seen. The Lost Boys, she has not seen. Like, oh my goodness. And we were just talking about all the awesome movies of the 80s that she should have watched by now. Yes. Yes. How have you never seen Beetlejuice? Again, we were just going straight down the line. Like, how can you not? It's like, how can you not see some of these movies here? And we were just going down the line, and we were up here telling Michael, it's like, you know what? Maybe you need. It's like, no wonder Paula's the woman in the chair, because pretty much you have to do the whole robot chick and the whole, put the things on her eyes and sit her in front of her and tell her to make her watch these movies type deal. But it was fun. It was engaging. It wasn't about always making that sale. It was more about making the sale and making sure that everybody was having fun, even if you wasn't buying anything here. And that's the key thing here. Oh, Joe, guess what Beanie found with her godfather for Mr. Randy? Did she find another famous funnies for him? Did she find a famous funnies here? Oh, the pirate movie. or laser disc. Yes, yes, yes. See, she got a good memory. I thought it was going to be a famous funnies book, but yeah, that's see that's the type of stuff that brings the community out. What brings a community together, like a comic book collecting community, is when we are able to share those types of things and be able to laugh and joke and have fun and not really take it seriously, but share the experiences of here. Oh yeah, the one they got was a facsimile. Yeah, it's there is Green Lantern 99. For those who don't know who Green Lantern 99, Corey Green is one of the few colorists that I actually hired to work on the comics here at CGC Studio. So he's seen that I'm on the air on Twitch here, and he decides to join into the chat. So, that's kind of like the key thing is that the community has to, have some type of togetherness and have fun and everything to that magnitude here. And he's greeting everybody here and giving the soul clap. Is like, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. But that's the key thing here. It's like we have fun because we was up here talking about, movies that she should have seen in the either in the 80s, in the 90s, in some form, some fashion, on like cable or DVD, VHS. How can you go at least almost over 4 decades and not see these movies yet? you know License to Drive, The Lost Boys. It's like, no, yeah, no, she hasn't even seen Goonies. Stuff to that magnitude, the classic 80s stuff. Better Off Dead. She has not seen. It was just like we were just going down the line. It's like we wasn't like picking on her for not seeing it, but it was just like the curiosity. It's like, what have you seen? It's the key thing here. Teen Witch. Paula probably have not seen that here. Corey, we're talking about a person who is a comic book store owner in, where is Flames of the Phoenix? Flames of the Phoenix, if they're near Randy, they're in Arkansas. Because Randy is in Cabot. I forgot where in Arkansas is Michael and Paula. But Paula of Flames of the Phoenix, they do have like a claim sale out there on the Comic Book Shopping Network on Facebook on Fridays, and that was kind of like the topic that we was kind of gravitated towards as they were selling comics. We was talking about 80s movies and everything. We was talking about all the different lines and everything, and it came up as like, well, Paula hasn't seen this movie, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, Paula has this. Like, the weirdness about all of this is like Paula has no idea about a lot of the movies that I referenced that were from the 80s because she haven't seen them. So we were just going straight down the line listing all these movies in the 80s. It's shocking enough she has not seen them. Yeah, it's like people that are like, I'm 43 and I've never seen Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah, it's just that shocking here, not seeing movies like Maximum Overdrive or Christine or the like the like the like the like the first and second Halloween. No, I take that back. The second and third Halloween. She's like, oh, I see Halloween 2, but she didn't see Halloween 3. It's like, okay, that's understandable. It was like we're talking about all these great movies from the 80s, like the original Masters of the Universe movies she has not seen. We were just going straight down the line. It's like the pinnacle of pop culture, Breakfast Club, has not seen. I was like, how? It's like, how can you avoid these popular movies that has at least came on television, regular broadcast television once or something to that magnitude? It's like you just can't. Teen Wolf, yeah. She probably hasn't seen that. I mean, it's just like we just go straight down the line here. Yeah, about 40 minutes from where Randy is at. Yeah. No, she's about our age. She's our age. She's in her 40s. She's in her 40s. So there's certain things that she did see. So it's just with one of those things here. No, that was just an example. That was just an example. There are people out there who never seen Star Wars, but she has seen Star Wars. Yeah. But you've seen it, but you have watched it at least once, and that was the key thing. Like one of the ones that I brought up, like Clue the movie, did not see it. You know, things that were like at the height of its popularity in the 80s, like Weekend at Bernie's, did not see it. You know, classic old school goofy 80s movies. Risky Business, did not see it. Hear No Evil, See No Evil, did not see it. Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, did not see it. We were just like, wow. Yeah, they have been on network TV 7. Yeah, you know, those are the types of things here. Now that I got someone who's like, oh, I've never seen Twilight. Good for them. Good for them. It's like Twilight, not the best of movies, but it is what it is. Yeah, they're like telling what my name is. Yep. It's like I saw Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 in theaters. Yeah. It's just one of those things. But it's just, you know, like I said, it's one of those things that makes us come together as a community, because a lot of us was up here like, if you haven't seen these movies, like, this is what we need to do. We just need to either have Michael show it to you, or we just have some type of viewing party that we just cancel the comic book sales and just do a viewing party and just have it that way. And, you know, those are the cool things about bringing people together and sharing things that we love. And that's the key thing. It's always being positive. And that's one of the reasons why I brought up the topic. It's like, we got to be careful about what we say. It's like, you can't always be negative. If you're always negative without having justification for it, what's the point? You know, that's the fun thing about it, is like gaining the new experiences and understanding and trying things for the first time. You might not like it, but at least you tried it. And, you know, like I said, it wasn't like we were ragging on this person. We were just up here like, wow, we just need to sit, you know, it's kind of like sit you down and be like, this is why this movie is great. These are the lines that you would need. These are the things that are cool about this movie. Because like we were brought up, you know, Better Off Dead, the whole thing about the newspaper boy. I was like, the whole thing with the switchblade code, like, I want my $2, and the whole thing about the so-called drag race with the Korean foreign students here, when he was in his mom's station wagon and the one Korean student was talking like Howard Cosell. Real, again, she probably have not seen Real Geniuses. She probably have not seen that. Yep. No. Yep. It's just that way. It's just that way, Mr. Green. It's just that way, Mr. Green. It's just that way. But yeah, there's a lot of people that just haven't seen a lot of these movies. And some people were bringing up movies that I haven't seen from the 80s. But it wasn't by choice. It was just more along the lines of like, just never got around to watching it. But saying all that to say that it is just a way to bridge that gap. Now, I could have, you know, in that whole Friday night scenario, we could have been like, no. It's like, no, it's like you can't call yourself, you know, a fan of geek culture if you don't do this or don't do that. It's like we were more like, no, we need to sit you down and watch and have you to watch these movies here. It's like, having not watched The Princess Bride, it's like, yeah, you missed out on a great movie. Having not seen Clue the movie here, you missed out on a great movie. You know, if you like Tim Curry in Rocky Horror, you will like him as the butler in Clue. You know, stuff like that. We were talking about all sorts of movies while, you know, they sell comic books, and it was quite cool here. And being that, kind of like Parallax is a movie file. So if she was there, I don't think she could take it. She would probably be like fainting and be like, it's like every other moment. It's like she haven't seen Beverly Hills Cop 2. Oh, like she said, what planet are you from? That's like, I know about. Oh, that's the other thing. She's seen Aliens 1, but not Aliens. So she's seen Alien, but not Aliens. So she saw the first Sigourney movie, but not the second one. It's like, how you not see the second one? That also reminds me, we should have asked her about Terminator. So you probably haven't seen the first Terminator movie. Probably haven't seen. No, she said that she didn't see Escape from New York or Escape from L.A. She hasn't seen none of those two movies. It's just so many great movies of the 80s that just was. It's like whenever somebody said that they barely saw, that they first time that they watched Weird Science was like a weekend ago. I was like, so this person has been deprived. They've been deprived of a lot of good movies here. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Good old fashioned classic 80s movies. Oh my goodness. Now you're about to bring me back. You're about to bring me back to like RoboCop 1. RoboCop 1. That was another one that we never really talked about, but it just kind of like it is what it is. Batty, 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 Hollywood Shuffle. Yep. It's just so many good ones, and we just like we're going straight down the line and just like, it's like, wow, we just have to just sit you down and have you to watch this type of stuff. And it's like, well, it's like, and then one person kidded her. It's like, well, at least we know one thing that you did. You were stuck outside. And she was like, yeah, I was outside drinking from the water hose. See, that was your problem. But no, it was good fun. It was good fun. Nonetheless, it was very, very good fun. But that's the type of camaraderie that we need to have in this hobby of comic book collecting. To be quite honest here, we shouldn't be speculating the way that we have been just to raise up monetary values of comics that should not be as expensive where they're at right now, especially stuff that's in the modern era. It's like we're paying close to like 5 to 6, somewhere between $5 to $10 a book as is today. We shouldn't have to pay $40 for issue number 1 2 weeks after issue 1 is released. That doesn't make any sense. That type of speculated value should not be coming into play. But we should still be talking about what we love here. I still love my Wonder Woman comics. I still love my X-Men comics. I still love certain comic book series as a whole here. I will talk about them, but I will never be up here like, get this book because of its value. And yes, Green Lantern. I know that you're a Green Lantern fan. I know that you're a Spider-Man fan, but yeah, we already talked about this before. ASM 300 should be nowhere near the value that where it is at this point in time. Just like how I feel like Giant Size X-Men 1 shouldn't be in the 5 figures like it is for a high value copy. Yeah. No, we were talking about those books that are still have like a good quantity of them out there, where you don't have to really worry about scarcity, but yet because people speculated on them so much, that drove up the value of buying one. So it's like a lot of times when we look at people who buy like Amazing Spider-Man 300, they're paying over $500 for a copy of that, where the book technically should be a lot less. Sensational She-Hulk number 40 is like a $300 book, even though Sensational She-Hulk #1 and a 9/8 is barely like $50, and a 9/8 of Savage She-Hulk #1 is barely breaking 150. You know, there's things where it's just like it does not equate here. So that, okay, yeah, I'm about to say it's like you should know what I'm talking about. It's just the way that I came out. I guess I confused you here, but that's what we was talking about how we have people out here on the interwebs inflating. I shouldn't say inflating. The whole problem is that we have to understand how much influence that we have. Even you with your Twitch channel with the gaming aspect here, you realize that you do have enough influence here to say, hey, I really like this issue of Spider-Man. And if you talk about it enough, people might go out and buy that issue of Spider-Man just because you talked about it. And you got to be careful about that because you don't want to put out false hope on the value of a comic. And one of the things that started off this whole conversation and the whole topic for this evening was how this one YouTuber called Swaggle was looking at who in the world speculated Dazzler #3, the third issue of Dazzler from like the 1980s, with Doom on the cover, to the point where it was making the top 10 list for speculated books to invest in for this week. And we were talking about how some people were just posting it up as a joke, but it's like, even if we're posting it up as a joke, it has influence. And we were talking about Comic Tom as a person. It's like, if he play it out there as a joke here, there's going to be people that believe him enough that they're going to go out there and try to buy it. No, Transformers the movie. Transformers the movie actually came out in theaters. G.I. Joe the movie was television, but that's a whole different thing. But no, we're talking about speculation here. We're no longer on the movie aspect of the 80s here. We're going back to the original topic here. So, we call it, people like myself and Swaggle and those who are long-term comic book collector, we're calling BS on it being the most speculated book today, for this week, because it doesn't make any sense. This is a book that's typically in most people's dollar bins, and now because somebody speculated on it, it's probably going to drive the value of that book way before its time, to where now to get a copy of it, you're going to have people up here trying to sell copies of that for like $20, $30, $40 when it's like a 50-cent book or a dollar book. It is what it is. And, we got to be careful of what we say and what we put out there. It just doesn't make it right when we mislead somebody or don't put it in its proper context. And it's sad. It's just sad because it's like, let's just say somebody actually came across it and really started to like Dazzler. They probably pay, $10 for the first issue, pay $1 for the second issue. Now they have to pay $40 because now this is a speculated issue. That doesn't make any good sense here. No, it was television. G.I. Joe the movie was a television event. It wasn't in theaters. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say it wasn't an 80s movie. I say it wasn't in theaters. I know exactly that G.I. Joe the movie came out in 87. It came out a year after Transformers the movie came out in theaters. But because of the death of Optimus Prime in that one, they held off putting it in the theaters because technically they were about to get ready to do the same thing with Duke, and they had to do some rewrites and everything. And then They figured that Transformers the movie did not make the money that it was supposed to make in the theaters because of the Optimus Prime snafu. They made it a television movie event, and they did it that way. And then later on down the line, if you didn't catch the full thing on the television event, they made it a 5-episode a 5-episode week where you could rewatch it again in 5 separate episodes of G.I. Joe here. Yeah, I know it. I know my history. I know my G.I. Joe history. Kind of, sort of. It hit televisions first. It actually was a TV movie first before it went to video. But yeah, that was before the day. That was before the days where straight to video didn't have some type of TV airing for cartoons here. But since G.I. Joe was a very popular cartoon, they actually aired that on TV first before it came to video. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think. There were several people that had the copyright for the videos of that. Cause I know Family Home Video, FHE had a version of it, and then some other companies have versions of the videotapes here. Yeah, though it was going to go, but because of a lot of stuff that went wrong with Transformers the movie, or at least the parent concerns with Transformers the movie, it didn't make the light of day. It didn't make the light of day in the movie theaters here. And it's weird. It's weird how back in the 80s, the death of Optimus Prime, how many people wrote in, how many parents wrote in talking about how children could not comprehend death, especially of a main character, considering the fact that the movie was to phase out the older Generation 1 toys to bring in the next phase of the Transformers toy legacy here. Yeah, it was delayed mainly because of the letters and stuff that there was dealing with Optimus Prime death, because in G.I. Joe the movie, Duke was supposed to die. That was the whole thing about the last line. One of the last line of the movie was where Doc was coming over the radio. It's like, hey, good news. Duke is about to make a full recovery, because they listened to those angry letters that moms were sending in, talking about they have to explain to their child about death and how people died and everything, and having to deal with the trauma of seeing something like that. One of their favorite characters dying and no longer being in existence. Most PG movies don't deal with those aspects too well for some parents, especially back in the day. Yeah, not just that, but the original GIs. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of stuff that went wrong with G.I. Joe the movie. But that was like one of the key things that I remember from the original slate, that about why G.I. Joe the movie came out after Transformers. It was slated to be first, but they went with Transformers more so than anything else, only because, and I thought they went with Transformers more so first because they wanted to get rid of the older toy line. And it just seems like the perfect storm happened. They was getting ready for that Christmas season for that year. It was right around September, October. They were slowly releasing the newer Transformers toys. And like you said, the G.I. Joe movie was not ready as of yet. And even after they released Transformers the movie, the G.I. Joe movie still wasn't ready. It was just a lot of stuff that was just like really weird with the voice acting and all the other stuff for G.I. Joe for some reason, and a lot of the rewrites that they had to make. But that's a story for another time here. That's a whole another story on another time. It seems like we just getting into the whole thing about more about movies now than anything else here. But I said what I said about the topic for tonight, so we could talk about movies all day long here. No, we don't have to go back to comics. This is an interactive show. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about here, and I'm opening up the door for things that you guys want to talk about. Since we're talking about movies and everything here. Drinking water is not the same as having the cherry coke and whatnot. But I'm opening up the floor here because we was talking about good 80s movies and stuff to that magnitude and everything to that magnitude. Yes, Don Johnson as Lieutenant Falcon and the way that they characterized Lieutenant Falcon in that movie, I agree, he sucked. But they still made Sergeant Slaughter too much of a powerhouse in that one. And the whole line, we all go home or nobody goes home. You have to watch G.I. Joe the movie to understand that line from Sergeant Slaughter. We all go home or nobody goes home. No, it was to me it was Don Johnson more so than anything else, because it's not his acting ability or his voice work. It's just the personality that they made him play was too familiar to the Miami Vice mode. And it's like Lieutenant Falcon wasn't like he just didn't fit the mold for like a G.I. Joe. Even after going to the slaughterhouse, it was just more along the lines of like he just sticked out as a sore thumb here. No, I'm not saying a different voice actor. It's just the way that they wrote. It was just the way that they wrote the character for him. They just wrote the character poorly for him, to be quite honest. It's not about the voice acting. The character was just written poorly for him. Just like how Golobulus was perfect for Burgess Meredith. Burgess Meredith was a perfect pick to play Golobulus. But again, Lieutenant Falcon just was not written right for Don Johnson. It just what he was just not written right. The character was not written right for him. But it's just weird in that aspect, when you look at it here. I mean, I come back and I look at certain things with that movie. To be quite honest, G.I. Joe, the movie, kind of sort of destroyed a lot of the stuff that was already set forth in G.I. Joe. And the thing about it is that the cartoon had to eventually move away from the era that we were in as far as the 1980s, where it was just getting too close to real life and politics. And the DIC show, yeah, it did. But that intro went hard, like how the beginnings of G.I. Joe was. The whole thing about Cobra Law and everything was the transition of where they wanted to go with G.I. Joe, where now G.I. Joe is about to get ready to fight something other than terrorists. And it was also one of the things that they were looking at toy-wise, because they were up here looking at, well, what is G.I. Joe going up against toy-wise? They're going up against Ninja Turtles. And again, Ninja Turtles was still popular. They were going against Masters of the Universe. They already was beating Star Wars. But the newer toys that were coming out were not truly based on military and military type stuff here. So they had to keep kids interested that were slowly moving towards like Ninja Turtle stuff and all the other stuff, the Captain Power stuff and the Ninja Turtle stuff and all the other action figures and everything here. We need more consider you be join us soon. No, I'm not going to finish singing that song. Yeah, they were dying out by then. But they were still around. But you still had things like Turtles, Robotech, Voltron, all these other things that was moving more towards the sci-fi aspect of it. So that's the reason why you had like weird things like Ninja Force, Alien Force. We talked about this on Comic Book Spectrum back in the olden days of Comic Book Spectrum. We did like a GI Joe episode where we talked about all of the messed up side series of toys that they made for that main GI Joe series line to try to keep people engaged, to kind of keep those who were playing with GI Joes engaged into newer things, because there was like an alien force and a space force and all this other stuff. Like they went from being ninjas to going out to space to fight aliens and all this other stuff. It's just really, really weird. Yeah, it's like nothing was beating the tsunami of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I agree, nothing. LG and wrestling figures. Yes. Who remembers those non-articulated LJN wrestling figures? Those things were cool, but they weren't the best. They were cool for what they were, but they weren't fully articulated. You couldn't move their arms and everything. It was just an action figure that was like really, really buff, really, really strong. Just it was like ready to be like, oh, we're about to do a bear hug. And you you buy the stupid little wrestling ring. You pull the figure, it gets the ropes, they bounce off the ropes, they hit the other guy. It's like they can't do real wrestling moves. It was just like, use your imagination type deal with the old LJN ones. But eventually, by the time we got to the Attitude Era, we finally got actual wrestling figures that were articulatable, where you can move the arms and legs in the right aspect, where you could do like actual wrestling moves and stuff to that magnitude. But the old school 80s one, not so much. Not so much. Nah. Now she got me thinking about who remembers Hulk Hogan rocking wrestling. Again, another 80s cartoon series. But then again, certain individuals might be too young to remember things like the old school CBS, the CBS Starcade lineup here, where they had like a lot of the video game type cartoons, such as like Pole Position, Donkey Kong Jr., Q*bert, and stuff like that. Yeah, I knew someone was going to bring it up. Yeah, Rocky Wrestling is dope. I want it on DVD. Yeah, Pac-Man was ABC. Well, at least here in Chicago was ABC. That was ABC, but that wasn't part of the Supercade for CBS. The Super Mario Brothers Super Show, aka Captain Lou Albano, and I forgot the guy that played Luigi here. That was a good show for what it was. It was a good show. The live action stuff really made it what it was before it became Super Mario Brothers 3. When Super Mario Brothers 3, the cartoon series, came out, they canceled the Super Mario Super Show, the live action portion out of it. They cut that part out and just made it one straight cartoon. Captain N, the Game Master. Yes. Daddy wee. Captain, I remember Captain N, the Game Master. Another one that was out during that time. Who remember? Dang it, I had it and I lost it. Kid Video. the so-called rock band cartoon kid video. Yeah, they got rid of Captain Lou and Danny Wells as the voice actors of Super Mario 3 and World. Yep, exactly. But again, Super Mario 3, the cartoon series, really was a continuation of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, but they just went in a whole different direction. They just cut out the live action and they cut out Captain Lou and Danny. Jim and the holograms. I remember them like the back of my hand. And I hated it. I'm going to say this, and I don't want Jim and the hologram fans to hate me. I did not like either. I think it was either season 2 or season 3 when it went from just being Jim and the holograms to glitter and gold, the glitter and gold years. Glitter and gold, Jim and the holograms, that it went off the rails. That went off the rails so far left that it just like it wasn't the same show. It wasn't really talking about them being, trying to, make it, to make it in the music video business anymore. It was just like them dealing with real life experiences and got away from the whole musical aspect of it. But it kind of got off the rails. But the glitter and gold years was just not. That wasn't something that I really liked here. Yep, the real Ghostbusters. Yep, kid video. I saw the intro for that. Oh, really? The whole thing about Master Blaster is like, I like your sound. You're coming over to me. You're coming over here to be with me on the flip side. Yep, it was season 3. Yeah, the glitter and gold year. That was just like wow. But again, the first 2 seasons of Jim and the Holograms art was very, very, very underrated. And then it went from just being that to glitter and gold after Jerica finally accepted the fact that she should be Jim the way that she was meant to be, the lead singer, and all this other stuff. It went all completely off the rails and it wasn't the same here. Yeah, it's like they changed the theme song to me. My friends are Jim girls. Jim is my name. And the Jim my name, glitter and gold, fashion and fame. When you're a Jim girl, you're never the same. And it goes on and on to be yeah. That the whole thing. It's not. It's just the storytelling. It just went completely off the rails. It wasn't about you know getting Starlight Records off the ground and the whole competition about who should be running in the secret about synergy anymore. It got into like they was about to get ready to add more members to the group and dealing with other acts and just a lot of real world bullshit. Now you're singing the original theme song. That's part of the original theme song. So yeah, I know the difference between the two here. But then again, some of the other stuff that I felt that was short lived, but they really didn't write it all that well. Visionaries that didn't write all that well. But but in Humanoids they did. In Humanoids they wrote too well, and I think it scared too many parents and the censors to keep that series going. But Visionaries, that was not a well written cartoon series at all here. Shoot, other cartoon series of the 80s. Yes, Spiral Zone. Spiral Zone was another one. And surprisingly enough, the one series which was supposed to be an Americanized version of Macross, Exo Squad. And for those who don't know, Exo Squad's lore is based in Macross. However, the way that the story was being told about the Neo Sapiens and everything was kind of like a spin-off of Macross lore. While the Macross stuff went further deeper into space, what was going on here on Earth after the Marduks landed led to another species coming to Earth to try to take over, and they was using similar equivalent to the Spartans and everything to that magnitude. But that's a whole nother different thing here. It's like, what were the toys that made you? What were the toys that? It's like, what were the toys that had doing the holograms on the chest? Well, then Jim and the holograms had they. I know that they had one like a they had like a music stage, the car, the actual each one of the singers, and then they had that one playset where it was part speaker. It was like a case that they had. If you open it up, it becomes like a playset, but if you close it, there was like a port. If you had like the right type of jack, you plug the jack in and it becomes an actual speaker where you could play your music here. I believe that was like one of the key things that brought it. Yeah, I just got through talking about Exo Squad. Oh, but Centurion's Power Extreme. Again, my favorite Centurion, no, and I will fight to the death here. The best Centurion out of all of them was Jake Rockwell. Yeah, I said it, you Ace McCloud or Max Ray fans. The best one out of all of them was Jake Rockwell. No, that was Visionaries. I already talked about them. Visionaries. Visionaries. You talk about Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. The whole thing about their lore, about the whole fact that it got, I think it was like 2360 or something like that, where all technology just stopped and everything went back to the dark ages of might and magic. And certain people were given like these magical staffs that had like these different entities that could come out either out of their staff or out of their chest. So it was Visionaries. Boo! You was an Ace McCloud guy. Jake Rockwell, based upon Centurions, had at least a little bit of something that could take care of anything that was either on the ground, in the air, or in the sea. Ace was only cool because he was the so-called pilot. He was the so-called pilot and everything. Max was only as good as what he could do in the sea. Jake Rockwell could handle any situation at any given time. So that's the reason why I'm a Jake Rockwell guy. Sorry, but that's just the way I am. Yeah, that one, Visionaries. She was talking about Visionaries. Yeah. Yeah, I had no clue who the fuck you're talking about. We're talking about Centurions. You don't remember the original three Centurions here. You had Ace McCloud that was the air combat specialist. You had Max Ray that was the sea specialist, and all of his equipment dealt with the sea. And Jake Rockwell was the land specialist. He was the one that had the stuff that allowed him to be like a all-terrain motorcycle. He had all the best weaponry that could take people out the air, out of the sea, and everything from the land. And that was the reason why I like Jake Rockwell. Jake Rockwell was the one that, as much as they didn't use him all that much as far as combat, but he had weaponry that dealt with everything when one of the other ones were not there. If Ace wasn't there and there was people in the air, he had the weaponry. It's like he could go power extreme and get the right type of weaponry to take people out the air. Same thing with the sea. He had means to use this one weird type of death charge that would come through like weaponry that was from his legs, that he could stand on the ground and shoot it on the surface of the sea before it drops down. I'm not a hater. It's like I appreciate Ace McCloud for what he is, or overglorified pilot. But then again, when they introduced the two other Centurions in the last season of Centurions, most of them was able to do what Ace McCloud could do, but nobody can do what Jake did. Just remember that. Don't be hating. That's because you just haven't watched the reruns as of yet, or haven't gotten it on physical media like you normally buy the stuff. You don't know who Jake Rockwell was? Wait, okay. So you know who Max Ray is. Max Ray is the one that was in the green and red. He was the C expert. Most of Ace McCloud stuff was white and blue. Jake Rockwell was the orange and black. Matter of fact, you're gonna make me show you this stuff here. How can you not know who Jake Rockwell is from the Centurions? Y'all are making me. You see, people. They're making me work for this. They're going to make me work for this. They're going to make me defend my like for Jake Rockwell. How do you not know who Jake Rockwell is? Jake Rockwell. Again, he had equipment that would allow him to be able to deal with the things that, if Ace was gone, he had the Hornet, which would allow him to be like a partial helicopter for a bit. He had the detonator. Which allowed him to at least shoot stuff into the water that can become like a death charge and everything. Now, the swing shot, he really didn't use all that much, but a lot of times in the cartoon, he mainly uses Wild Weasel, which allowed him to become more like a armored motorcycle. That's who Jake Rockwell is. Oh my goodness, you brought up Ultra Force. Wow. I'm showing you who Jake Rockwell is. It's like, yeah, again, as kids of the 80s, Ace McCloud was rammed down our throats. Nobody, it's like, if anything, when you talked about the Centurions, in order, in order of how kids remember this stuff, Ace McCloud was number one because Ace was always rammed down our throats. Max was second because we saw Max in action in the cartoons more so than anything else. Jake was the third one. And Jake was only popular if you were like a big fan of cartoon, because they never really talked about his toy all that much. They never really showed a lot of the cool stuff that he had for his suits here. So it is what it is. Oh, she sent me a picture. Okay, I'll take a look at it in a second here. It's like, no, I don't remember it that way, but I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, your love for Ace McCloud is invalid. No, I'm happy that you're an Ace McCloud fan. Very happy that you're an Ace McCloud fan, but I just want people to know that Jake Rockwell to me was the epitome of all on, because he had the ability in his normal gear to handle situations on both air, sea, and land at one time, where everybody else was more along the lines like Ace could handle things on the ground and in the air, but not in the sea, and vice versa. Max Ray could handle things in the sea and maybe on land, but not all three like Jake Rockwell can. But it's just very weird. But you know, that's just like the Galaxy Rangers, why I like Golden Goose more so than all the other Galaxy Rangers. Because Golden Goose had the one form that really made him invulnerable, but it comes at a price. Yeah, she said she sent me a picture, so I'm about to go and see what this picture is before we talk about this picture. And we are coming up to the end of the show too, so we're approaching that 2-hour mark here in a second. So, what is the photo that you sent? Yes, I will share that. That will be shared. Now, if you are a true, if you actually grew up in the 80s, or you were around in the 80s, or even if you was you know, a part of it when it first started back in like the late 70s, you would get this joke right here. You will understand and get this joke right here. Everybody knows about Columbia House back in the day. It's either you got caught up with Columbia House or BGM or some other form here with either music, CDs, or movies. For me, it was the movie aspect with Columbia House. And yeah, they would be coming to try to find you to collect their money, because yeah, we'll give you 12 titles for a penny, but you have to buy at least eight more albums at their regular prices over the next 3 years to fulfill your contract for the 12 that they send to you for that penny. In my case, it was, we'll give you 6 VHS cassettes. Yeah, at first it was VHS cassettes for a penny, as long as you buy 5 more at regular price. And then they went over to DVDs. It's like, yeah, we'll give you 8 DVDs as long as you buy like 12 more at regular price. And they will come and find you. They will come and find you for their money. They will find you. They will hunt you down. They will be sending you letters left and right. They will track you down. But that's something like that I don't think Green Lantern would remember more so. I do remember that. And I remember that. And I remember that in the early 2000s, because, you know, towards the tail end of the 2000s, they went bye-bye. You know, they still around. Don't get me wrong. Columbia House is still around, but they're just not as, if I could say, as prevalent today because you had things like Redbox and all these other places here where you could rent instead of being forced to buy. And on that note, we got about 1 minute left, unless you guys still got other stuff that you guys want to talk about here. I got maybe like another 5 to 10 minutes for, well, until we have to close down the show for tonight. But no, but seriously, oh, you know what? That was more 90s. No, that was more 2000s. That was more 2000s here. But one series that I loved in the 2000s was SWAT Kats. The early days of Cartoon Network, where SWAT Kats would come on, and Cartoon Network was showing like a lot of the old Hanna-Barbera stuff, like the old Fantastic Fours and like the Wacky Races and stuff to that magnitude. Oh, you're back now? You're back now? Because I was up here talking about, the early 2000s and dealing with SWAT Kats. So SWAT Kats was the show back in the day. And then, by the time we get into like the 2010s, we got the remake of Thundercats, which was pretty good. And then, that show, yeah, SWAT Kats. SWAT Kats was, I still feel that it was kind of before its time. It's like if SWAT Kats came out in the 2010s, I think it would have done a lot better than the early 2000s. Just like how a lot of people poo-pooed on Thundercats, the remake, the Cartoon Network version of Thundercats. Not Thundercats whole, Thundercats. Because the lore that they told in the Cartoon Network 2010s version of Thundercats was actually pretty good. The problem here is that they kept moving the time slot, so people could not watch it, because one moment it was like 10 o'clock at night, then they moved it to 7 o'clock, then they moved it to 9 o'clock, then they moved it to 6 o'clock, then they moved it back to like 11 o'clock. And it just didn't have the right time. And the show that nobody watched because they couldn't catch it. Yeah. They couldn't catch it. They couldn't catch it on a consistent time slot. They kept moving the time slots. The same thing with a lot of Cartoon Network programs back then. Because in the 2010s, they did that whole experiment with live action stuff. Because remember, Cartoon Network had what was the other show? It was one show that I actually started liking. I believe that was called Tower Prep. About the school where everybody had like different powers and everything, and they was like trapped in the middle of nowhere, and they were trying to figure out where they were and how the school actually functioned. That barely lasted one season, and then they was doing stupid little bitty kids game shows like Hole in the Wall and that stupid roller coaster game where you're answering trivia questions on a roller coaster. Yeah, it's like watch Ultra Force if you dare. I know Ultra Force did not age well, such as things like Wildcats did not age well. The Wildcats, the cartoon show, did not age well. Oh, you did. See, Ultra Force, the Malibu comic book stuff, I kind of figured that it wasn't going to age all that well, but man, is it really that bad? Something that did age well, and I kind of wish I could go back and rewatch it, is like the Tomb of Dracula cartoon series, the old school Marvel Tomb of Dracula one. Joe is freaking off. I might go back and revisit it here, but watch it and drink some alcohol. If I watch it and drink some alcohol, it probably becomes like Mystery Science Theater 3000 for me. I'm going to be cracking jokes left and right. No, right now about the as soon as I get off the air here, I probably finish up watching uh Hamne no Ippo fighting. If you don't know, anime is it's about it's a boxing anime. It's not like the recent Megalobox. Megalobox was an interesting series here, but Hamne no Ippo is really kind of like one of the quote unquote good standard bearers of what good anime from back in the day is supposed to be. I mean, that's just the way that it is. It's like back in the day, we had some very bad cartoons that we just used to crack jokes on. Just like even right now, if I went back and watched cartoons like Space Ace and Dragon's Lair, that they try to emulate what it was like in the actual arcade games. I crack jokes on it all the time, and it's like, oh, what is the right thing that Dirk Darien is supposed to do here? None of the above. Because he's like it's everything is going to kill him regardless, so he has to do something different. Bro, Chauncey. Oh my goodness. Oh, you got a sandwich now. That's a good sign. Yeah, it makes more sense than Ultra Force. Yeah. But again, cartoons in the 90s, especially the early 90s when we just was like everybody was just trying to set up like their comic book franchises or their superhero franchises to be the next big thing. We got a lot of nonsense. Yeah, episode one probably going to break a lot of people if I remember it correctly. But for back in the day, we were up here thinking about how anything that was extreme is really really cool. We wasn't really thinking with our right minds during that time frame where Ultra Force was out here. I know it's bad. You notice how I'm not saying anything overly glowing about it. It was back in the day when we were kids, it was a watch. It was something to watch. But now I'm not just like, yeah. Again, I understand. You rather watch paint dry, but you wouldn't watch grass grow. If you don't like watching grass grow, then there's some redeeming qualities of Ultra Force. Again, that's the whole point. That was the whole point of why Ultra Force was so bad. Ultra Force was so bad that they sacrificed writing to mimic something else that was really good because there was source material for it. Ultra Force did not have much source material other than the fact of maybe a couple of issues of individual characters' comic books. Ultra Force as a comic book came after the TV series. Yeah, I'm not saying this is an excuse. I'm not saying this is an excuse or a reason to be like, hey, go easy on it. It's just it is what it is. Exactly. That's what more do you want? Like I said, I put Ultra Force up with watching Wildcats. There's things in Wildcats I just go like, why? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Just like there's episodes of Street Fighter the cartoon series that just make me go, why? It's like, why? Why am I watching this? Why? No, I will rather watch Wildcats. Wow. Matter of fact, I no, no, I have seen it recently. I have seen it recently because I was like, I was thinking about Wildcats, but I was like, wait, there was also a Gen 13 pilot, but the Gen 13 pilot was actually okay. That was actually okay here. Okay. So you put Ultra Force above the Street Fighter cartoon. Do you put Ultra Force above the Darkstalkers cartoon? As far as the awfulness, how bad, how awful it was. No, not Darkstalkers movie. No, not the movie. There was a 90s cartoon series that was not done by the anime people who did the movies over in Japan. There was an Americanized Darkstalkers series that we got over here in the States that was pretty awful. That's true. They did try. Yeah. And I say it's like, it's like no, that's like that's why I say I have to think about it. It's like no, I saw that recently. I remember the pilot recently, and that was actually decent. Really, you put Ultra Force as part of the pile of garbage over over wow over Darkstalkers. Wow. See, you're making me want to watch. You challenge me for the whole season. I'm up here. It's like I probably won't get past episode 3. I know that. Oh, you haven't? Cool. I know Prime. Prime is so over the top as a character in the first place, and then you put 90s edge on him, and the 90s edge, and try to put that old school Stan Lee spin on him as far as I'm a good superhero and people should understand that. That's another one. That's another one. I don't think Green Lantern has seen the pilot for Busby. And that would be another question. Ultra Force over Busby. Never will. Like, and I would never will. So we will never get the answer to that question. What could possibly go wrong? I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But one cartoon series that I could rewatch now, if I could find it, is Mummies Alive. I don't know what makes me want to watch that again, but towards the tail end of that run, it was actually getting good. In the very beginning, it was corny, but towards the tail end, when the kid really started to take into consideration that he could have been the reincarnation of Ramses, it started to get interesting. Ultra Force 97, the return of 90s cheese and 90s hack. Wait, so you guys had it on like what, DVD or Blu-ray, and you watched it from there, Ultra Force? Or do I have to go to like Disney Plus and try to stomach my way through it? Hell no. Hell no. Where did you guys watch this at? That's what I try to figure out. Where did you watch Ultra Force? Because, like I said, I haven't watched an episode of Ultra Force since like the 1990s. It should stay back there in the 90s. No one, no one put it on. Of course not. Unless you're a bootlegger, you're not putting that on DVD or Blu-ray. That's just that bad. It's like that's a waste of perfectly good varnish. Waste of space. It's okay. Amazon Prime, so that's where you watched it at. Why would Amazon Prime carry it? I don't know. Not even a good toaster. Wow. Pretty good waste of server space. Yep. But some people are some people watched it though. I won't say who, but some people watched it. Fortunately for me, I don't have Amazon Prime, so unless it's on like Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu, I ain't trying to go for it. Get on board. The Great Space Coaster will explore. You're getting me singing theme songs here. I love terrible movies. Yeah, sadly, you watched it. You relived the whole thing about bad cartoon series. And now you're making me think about some other underrated cartoon series, such as Eat the Cat. Eat the Cat was an underrated cartoon series. But then again, that's Saturday morning cartoons on Fox. There was a lot of underrated cartoon series on Fox back in the 90s. Again, Malibu never truly established Ultra Force as a comic book entity the way they should before they did this cartoon series. So yeah, they had nothing else to do but to mimic other cartoon series so poorly that it was hacked up. It was. It is what it is. That's not as cute. Oh. It's not my fault that you went back and revisited that mess. That's on you. That's all on you. I saw a few episodes in the 90s and I was like, nope, not for me. See, cartoon series that I would probably go back and rewatch. Cyber 6 is one. I probably could stand watching some Eat the Cat. Yeah, you always blaming me, so that's not new. Dark Stars is like Citizen Kane. Okay, I saw a random question here. No, I don't have a straight up blank flash drive. I probably need to go and buy another one. That is greater than I think that's like the largest one that I got that is somewhere around here is probably like 16 gigs, but I need something that's bigger than that. Oh, you're going to be mad at you all year. Again, that's nothing. Well, actually, you can't do that because you didn't re-up the contract. I kept saying you still wanted to re-up that contract. And he was like, nope, I don't want to watch all of it. Certain individual keep watching every episode after we saw the first three. But then again, I'm wondering how they did Siren in that Ultra Force series here. Okay, it's like you said, the Prime was definitely up in it. I wonder how they did Siren in Ultra Force. Episode one broke John. I mean, it was just, I know. Yes, Siren. You mean they did not introduce Siren in this series? That all of this stuff is Malibu Comics, or what you call it, the subsidiary of Marvel. So this is like all of Marvel's inherited stuff. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. Don't do it. Don't do it. Here we go. Here we go. She's up here. It's like, oh, I know the places where you could go and watch this free 99. And now I'm up here, got people way beyond the normal time, and we're probably going to have people both in multiple time zones be into the future, into their Sunday by the time we finish this discussion about Ultra Force. For those who are in attendance, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the overtime here for we could be all broken over the first episode of Ultra Force, all because Green Lantern wants it. So here we go. Okay, do we have sound? Because I could barely hear this. Hard case. Prototype. Yep. Topaz. Can I turn it off now? I didn't. I can't. I can't even make it through the intro. Wait, wasn't he just buried up under rocks?
Starburst!
So why is this whole thing about PSTD and hard case all of a sudden here? That doesn't make any sense.
Jay! Get out of here, Hardcase! Go! I got no other plan. Don't you know? You can! I can help!
Look at me, I'm about to power up. I'm gonna melt everything around me. Look at
Starburst and haul butt! I'm going critical! Okay.
Look at me, I'm about to kaplose. Kaplosion.
Yeah.
Tom? Hardcase? You okay? You're supposed to be on the set. You having those nightmares again?
We break for this important news bulletin. Another nuclear missile base, the fourth in 24 hours, is under attack in Saline Flats, California.
Block it out.
But you were incinerated.
Hardcase? Hello, Hardcase? Your movie, remember?
I'm gonna be a little late.
How you besmirch the name of Iron Man like that? Don't do that.
Enemy, over here.
Wait, you fought this thing? You fought it before and you don't even know the character's name. It's just enemy over here.
It's time we had this.
Come on, really?
A new turn of events here at the Saline Flats missile base. The Ultra, known as Hardcase, has just arrived and is confronting the creature enemy.
No! He's totally Wonko! Even with the squad, he couldn't nail enemy.
Can't anyone stop these ultras from stealing all these missiles?
Oh man, he's gonna eat it! He's so... Oh.
Just watch. They're gonna hold the world hostage. I know it.
Oh, I gotta get out of here.
Kevin!
Let him go, Ruth. He'll be okay.
No! He's turned into a different person the last couple of months. I never know where he is, and he's obsessed with these ultras. You call that okay?
Lighten up, Ruth. He's a teenager.
What do you mean, lighten up? He acts like he's on drugs.
Oh, Ruth, stop it. That's ridiculous. Kevin? I can't help you, son. No one can. You've just got to be strong.
What's up with this reverse X-Men nonsense?
Before UMGC, I was a pretty good teacher, but I needed my students to see if someone like them can make it.
So we have to suffer through commercial breaks. Great.
That's why I decided.
Thanks,
to go to
website.
UMGC. The skills.
That's
they
the price
taught.
of free
My skills I
99
won't learn anywhere else.
commercials.
My role now as vice principal, I want my students to succeed. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for UMGC. You become a part of that family. It's a family that will support you for the rest of your life.
Drive Time makes it easier to buy a car.
Yeah, already approved. That was easy.
Yep, and you can even customize your own terms on every car.
Oh, there's a little slider thing. I can change my down payment?
Yeah, and we have thousands of cars under 15 grand.
I never had this kind of power. Boom! Lower! Lowest down option. Low monthly payment option. I'm making my own deal on all these cars.
Welcome to Car Buying Made Easy. This is a commercial. Go get your real deal at drivetime.com.
Your next breakdown could be anytime, anywhere.
The
Wow.
last thing I remember is just the engine cut out.
For a bad 90s cartoon, I am in my third commercial. I might as well be watching this back in the day on regular broadcast television. Thanks, website, for giving me that old school 90s TV watching feel.
582-9212 for a free quote.
He's still saying, like, really?
Say something.
Oh, we got 4 commercials.
More than just a fact. Chase wins. Chase gold.
Nah, chase me.
NFL flag. Chase something.
Nuclear warheads are vanishing all over the globe. This is the perfect opportunity to show off our new power suit. We've totally re-engineered it. Excellent strength is 33% stronger and energy efficient. It's been completely fireproofed.
Nice. Very nice.
Time's a wasting, kid. Just step back into it. Go ahead.
Now this is the way to start the day.
So this was his honey, where's my super suit moment.
It's prime time. Prime. I knew I'd run into you sometime. Hey, I owe you one. You? Hard case owe me? I mean, sure.
Wait, he hadn't even tried to wrestle him before. Now he just grabs an arm and throws him down. Come on, what in the world?
Cool. How'd you do that? I didn't. I just saved your candy butts.
But wasn't he just on the ground a second ago?
Stand back, boys.
Didn't we have an error frame moment where he was like glowing on the ground from getting hit?
Get something straight, Tin Man. Nobody needs to save Prime. The name's Prototype. 3 syllables. Too long for you to remember, Muscle Man? I won't have to remember. Guys, cut it out. No! Enough. It is the missiles I want.
Earthquake?
Wish it were. Unbelievable.
Okay. So we have bootleg Sumbo / bootleg DIC doing the animation production on this.
Wait a second. Prime is not the enemy here. If this jerko general thinks he... Well, let's we agree. Cool it, guys. Just do exactly what they say. But... Hey! Get out of here! Return fire! Return fire! Let's move it!
Somebody help me. Somebody help me understand.
A welcome change of venue. No? Name's Ghoul. Pleased to meet you.
And I am Contrary, and this is my ship.
And we just rescued you from a grave situation. I do speak from first-hand experience.
Ugh. Cool. Keep your worms off my mainframe.
Sorry. That's Pix, our resident techno-whiz.
Hey, do you mind? And you, lady, let's get one thing straight. Prime doesn't need rescuing from anything or anybody. Chill, kid. We got bigger problems than your ego. You! Stop calling me kid!
Anyone can see you're no kid.
So, back to the important stuff. What was going on down there?
Okay, pedophilia.
2-ton missiles right into the ground.
And where are they gonna strike next? That's what I want to know. Cool. It's rude
So
to
we
say.
have
Hard not to
She-Ra
without
/
eyelids.
I don't know what's going on
Professor
here, but thanks for
Xavier.
the help. Now I gotta go.
Really?
Need that too.
Wait, I brought you here because the Ultra situation is getting worse. Unless we band together to control other Ultras.
Then what? The normal humans will have us eradicated? Yeah, I've heard all this before. You want to put an Ultra team together, right?
An Ultra Force. Exactly.
No way. I've had it with teams. Oh yeah, that's right. He's a movie star now, making the big bucks. It's not the money, meat brain. I lost good friends, Contrary. The best. I'm not your man.
I know about the squad hard case. It wasn't your
Look
fault.
at me.
Yeah.
I'm Hardcase. I want to be a
There,
Wolverine
were you?
who has a
Guys,
tragic story
based on
about
my
losing everything that I
I
have.
think I know which missile base is gonna be hit next. Hawaii.
I'm setting a course. Anyone who wants to leave, now's the time.
Are you kidding? No way. No,
Is She-Ra cross Xavier?
he's mine.
Uh-oh. Forget getting there first. The base is already gone ballistic.
All right. Prime time.
We do have a hatch.
Whoa. Not my style. Could you,
But of course. Get the welding gear, Pix. We have work to do.
cool. Are they down there? You coming?
Been there, done that. Okay, friends. What can you tell me about all of this? Who's behind this? I need a face.
The fire people have suffered in the dark long enough. Atalon shall reclaim our birthlands.
Atalon? Who is this guy?
What is this I sense? This one sees the past by touching an object. His power will be useful.
So, you're the one stealing all the
Me,
missiles.
Hulk.
Whoever
Me,
you are,
Hulk,
you're gonna
wants
be
to punch
sorry
people.
now.
I am Atalon, king of the fire people, and you, poor deluded creature, cannot grasp
It's the wannabe Magneto.
your situation. For you see, gravity is my specialty.
Oh, they got a bootleg Graviton. Oh.
This is the best your people could muster. What a puny race.
Puny? I ain't puny.
Mama, that's not gonna happen to me.
Such a frail, arrogant people. Heed well, weaklings. You have taken light and air for granted for the last time. The fire people are finally reclaiming what you stole.
You go too far, Atalon. We have no quarrel with these surface people.
The dark has warped your mind, woman. You shall think differently once I lead you into the light. You look like 4 timid little moles. Hasten, we are through here.
So here comes the wannabe Wolverine.
Frodo!
Come on, a few more seconds. Don't close up on me.
Take care of Brian. I'll check on Frodo. He's just a kid. Oh, man. What a waste. I hate this. Losing friends, man. It stinks.
Tell me about it. I've lost a few myself.
Look, it's cherry Kool-Aid coming out of the ground. And now here I am.
Dreadful, Gasper. We are only taking back what is ours. These people have defiled this wondrous world long enough. I shall annihilate them using their own weapons of destruction.
So Wannabe Magneto did exactly what Wannabe Magneto does. Yeah, I'm not going to watch the rest of this. I can't get through this rest of the series because this is too wrong. That's too wrong. That's too much like wrong. So on that note, we're almost at the 3-hour mark. They didn't copy the homework. They just barely got the first paragraph of the essay for the X-Men cartoon. After that, they went on their own. Yeah, cherry Kool-Aid and purple drink. Yep, exactly. I mean, good grief. But again, for those who weren't around to watch the real stuff on Fox on Saturday mornings at about, I think it was like 9:30 Central, 10:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern to watch the actual X-Men 90s cartoon. This was your only other choice, which was not good. And the simple fact that I was like, if I really wanted to sit there and go back frame by frame, they had an animation there where they had Prototype on the ground. After firing a blast, he was on the ground, knocked out, and then the next thing you know, here he comes, firing another blast, he's up in the air. I was like, huh? No Ultra Force 98. No. Yes, they did just copy TV guide blurbs. That's what their homework. They didn't get the X-Men. They didn't get the X-Men homework. They got the X-Men Cliff Notes. They got the Cliff Notes. They got the Cliff Notes, but yeah. With the killer soundtrack. Wow. But it is that time to call it a night here. It is about 10 minutes left until it is Sunday here in the Central Standard Time Zone here. So enjoy the rest of your guys' weekend here. Enjoy the Sunday here. For those that are on the West Coast, still enjoy your Saturday. But for everybody else, enjoy your Sunday. We are out for another weekend here. Live life, grow, and be well. See you next week. Bye.